Good morning, students. How are you? We are again here after a long vacation, and I hope you all will be fit and fine, safe at your home. Okay, and today we are going with the some practice questions, and these are the questions which are related to Term 2, and the chapter is Reproduction. Right? These are the subjective type question and short answer type questions, and here we will discuss at least 10 questions, right? I think these will be enough for today. So let's start. The first question is, what is the importance of DNA copying in reproduction, right? So as you know, in the process of reproduction, one process is reproduction start from the copying of DNA. The main thing is that it is responsible for the transfer of the character of the parents to their offspring, right? And number two is, during the process of DNA copying, the change occur due to the inheritance of the trait from the both the parents. The characters intermix together, and are the which is this process is the cause of variation in the offspring, right? So this genetic variation is very useful for the generation of new species, for the evolution of the new species, right? Okay, now see the next question. We are not going in too much detail because we have already discussed this chapter. We have revised the chapter, so we are going to revise it fast. And if you have any query, then you can write in the comment box, right? Okay, then next question is, why is variation beneficial to the species but not necessary for the individual? Okay, as you know, variation is caused due to the DNA copying, DNA copying and intermixing of the DNA of the parents, right? Variation sometime may be useful, sometime may be harmful. Now, suppose in a species, some of the group members have some variation, and due to that variation, that species may uh, have a chance to survive in changing situation as the environment maybe if everything is going well. So in that condition, the characters which is the variation, that variation may be harmful also, and that particular individual may die or may survive, है ना, 50-50% chances. But suddenly it happens that there is a great change in the environment, right? Suppose the temperature varies, temperature suddenly decreased, या suddenly the temperature increased, और वो जो वेरिएशन क्रिएट हुए थे वो वेरिएंट और उस टेम्परेचर को बेयर करने में, उस टेम्परेचर को झेलने में एबल थे, तो obviously they will survive, and other members which do not have that type of the variation, they may die. So in that condition, variation have a chance of survival, and obviously they will continue their species, right? So variation is not necessary for the individual, and for the individual it may be harmful also, for the and useful also, but sometime it may be beneficial for the whole species because they have a chance to survival and may continue the species, right? Okay, now next question is, I can give you one example for the variation also, है ना? Suppose in a water bodies, in a water body, there are some bacteria, and due to some reproductive process, or due to some mutation in the process of reproduction, some of the some of the bacteria, suppose these all bacteria, they can survive on the high temperature also. Normally the temperature of this water is normal, but these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these 6 or 7 bacteria which have the variation, they can survive in the high temperature also, right? So they can survive in this also, and they can survive in the high temperature also, and they get this character due to the variation. Now suppose due to the environmental change, this temperature of the water suddenly increase, and what will happen in this case, these other bacteria which do not have any variation, they all will die, and only these bacteria which have that type of the variation कि वो high temperature पे भी survive कर जाते हैं, तो obviously they will be live and they will continue their species, right? So this is one of the example. I hope you got it. Now next is, what is clone? Why do offspring formed by asexual reproduction exhibit remarkably similarities? Okay, then clones are the offspring produced by one parent through the asexual reproduction. Which type of reproduction is responsible for this? It is asexual reproduction, right? Clones are produced due to the mainly है ना in the nature due to the asexual reproduction. Genetic, because the DNA is not intermixing, only single type of the parent, only one parent is involved. So same copies of the offsprings are formed, which are similar to each other, right? So these are called clones. Now next is, colonies of yeast fail to multiply in water but multiply in sugar solution. Give one reason. Okay. So we normally know water do not have too much nutrients in it, right? And yeast is failed to multiply in water due to the absence of nutrients, but it can multiply in the sugar solution. Sugar solution have nutrients for the growth of yeast. So when we will put this yeast into the sugar solution, then budding process will start and it will give rise to many yeast cells, right? So yeast colonies will be developed here due to the presence of nutrient in it. Now next is, illustrate with example the division and fragmentation method of reproduction in the living organism. Okay, so we all know about it. Fragmentation method is found in the Spirogyra, and sea animal called sea anemone. These organisms, they reproduce through the process of fragmentation. What happened in this case? Ki in this is the rough diagram of the Spirogyra. This is a filamentous algae, that type of the chloroplast is found in it. In the maturation, that divides into the parts and each part will grow into a new individual. Same happens in the sea anemone also. This type of the asexual reproduction is known as fragmentation, right? Okay, now next is, list two advantages of vegetative propagation over other mode of the reproduction. Okay, then vegetative propagation, we all know this is a type of the propagation where any of the plant part give rise to the new plant. It depend on the plant to plant कि which part will grow into a new individual. Every part will cannot grow, but कुछ प्लांट्स में डिसाइड मतलब कुछ ही पार्ट से जो हैं वो ग्रो करते हैं, कुछ में स्टेम से ग्रो करते हैं, इन सम दे कैन ग्रो थ्रू द रूट्स, सम इन सम यू नो थ्रू द लीव्स आल्सो, right? Then what is the what is asked here? Advantages. Okay, the first advantage is that this is a fast method, right? This is a faster method. If we grow the seed, then it will take time, but if we are doing it with the help of the vegetative method, then it will grow faster. Then second is it is useful in those plant and animals which cannot reproduce sexually, in which seed formation is not take place. If seed formation is not there, seeds are not forming, then only the method vegetative propagation is there to give rise to the new individuals, right? And same type of the plants can be formed because DNA is not intermixing, only single parent is involved. So same copy of the plant can be generated. So many other are also there. So two are asking, you can give others also. Okay, now next question. Write one main difference between the asexual and sexual mode of reproduction. Okay, then if we are talking about the sexual and asexual reproduction, Okay, differences. So we all know only single parent is involved in the asexual reproduction, and in the sexual reproduction, two parents are involved. DNA of the two parents are is mixed, right? It means the first is copying of DNA is there in this sexual method. Then gametes are formed. Then they fuse together, and the uh, new individual is then formed, right? Which species is likely to have comparatively better chance of survival? The one reproducing asexually or one reproducing sexually? Okay. Then we all know sexual reproduction have more chance in this. It have for the individual which is growing through this process, it have more chance of survival, right? Actually, variation may also be caused in it, and variation are responsible for the evolution of the new species, right? So sexual reproduction is this have more advantage over the asexual. Okay, now next question is and if we see other differences also, then there are so many differences and good features which uh, shows that asexual reproduction is better than the sexual reproduction. Now next is in tobacco plant the male gamete have 24 chromosome. Okay, 24 chromosome. What is the number of the chromosome in the female gamete? Okay, in the female gamete, because male gamete have the 24, so female gamete also have 24 chromosome in it. Okay, what is the number of chromosome in the zygote? Okay, number of the chromosome in the zygote, obviously male gamete and female gamete both will fuse together, and 24 24, so total number of the chromosome will be 48 in the zygote, right? Now next question, differentiate between self pollination and cross pollination. So we all know about it. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma of the flower, right? Anther to stigma of the flower. It may be of the same flower or it may be of the flower of the different on the different plant, right? So on the basis of this, pollination is of two type. One is self pollination and the second is cross pollination, right? First is self pollination, second is the cross pollination. In self pollination, we all know transfer of the pollens from stamen to the flower, stamen of flower to the stigma of the same flower, right? Same flower, or on the stigma of other flower but of the same plant should be, once again say it, this suppose this is a plant and this is a bisexual flower which have both the organ, and this is the second flower having both the organ. It may be anther of pollens are transferring from the anther of this flower to the same stigma, or maybe possible the sorry, these pollens from this flower, these are transferring to the same flower, sorry, another flower on the same plant, right? तो डीएनए तो सेम ही है, बाहर का डीएनए तो आके मिक्स नहीं हुआ, ये भी इसी प्लांट का फ्लावर था, ये भी इसी प्लांट का फ्लावर था, तो सेम डीएनए आपस में फ्यूज हो रहे हैं in the form of the male and female gamete. So this is called self pollination, right? And in the cross pollination, transfer of the pollen of the pollen from the stamen of the flower to the stigma of the different flower. Suppose these are the two plants, right? Now pollens from here, pollens from this, they are transferring to the this plant flower, ovary of the this plant, stigma of the this plant. In this case, this plant have the another DNA, this is having the another type of DNA. Another type means species is same, सब कुछ same है लेकिन ये plant अलग अलग है, तो इसमें क्या हो गया, ये cross pollination है, right? This is the example of the cross pollination. I hope this is enough for today, and in next class we will discuss rest of the question of this exercise. Okay, bye and have a nice day.